At midnight, the three of us sneaked into the abandoned mental asylum on the outskirts of town. This place had long been rumored to have conducted inhumane experiments. Closed down 10 years ago after a mass disappearance of patients, it had now become an exploration spot for curious youngsters. "Are we really going in?" My best friend Kenta mumbled anxiously. I retorted, "You can go back if you're scared," but I felt my own voice trembling. Misaki, the third member of our group, remained silent, her lips tightly pressed. We squeezed through the rusty fence and climbed in through a broken window. Our flashlights illuminated peeling walls and scattered medical equipment. Dilapidated stretchers lay haphazardly in the hallway, and IV stands swayed ominously from the ceiling. "Hey, can you hear that?" Misaki suddenly stopped. Straining our ears, we could make out faint crying from somewhere. I wanted to say it was just our imagination, but it was clear we were all hearing the same thing. We climbed the stairs to the second floor and froze. At the end of the corridor stood a figure in a white coat. But when we shone our flashlights, there was nothing there. "Maybe it was a hallucination," Kenta said, his voice shaking. But then we sensed movement behind us. Turning around, we saw a wheelchair that hadn't been there before, slowly moving towards us. Panicked, we ran blindly, bumping into walls in the darkness. We ended up trapped in a dead-end room. Opening the door, we found ourselves in an operating theater. Rusty scalpels and syringes were scattered about, with dried bloodstains on the floor. In the center of the room was an operating table with a figure lying on it. We gasped. As we approached slowly, it appeared to be a mannequin, but the moment I touched it, the figure grabbed my hand. "Help me." I thought I heard a hoarse voice. I frantically shook off the hand and bolted from the room. In the hallway, the white-coated figure from before stood right in front of us. It had no face, just a black hole from which dark liquid was oozing. Screaming, we ran desperately. We tumbled down the stairs, aiming for the exit, but the door wouldn't open. "It's locked," Kenta yelled. Behind us, we could hear multiple footsteps approaching. Turning back, we saw several white-coated figures closing in. Just then, Misaki shouted, "We can get out through the window." As we were about to climb out through the broken window, something grabbed my leg. Looking back, I saw countless hands reaching out from the floor. We managed to shake them off and escape. As we ran from the hospital grounds, we looked back to see numerous faceless figures staring at us from the windows. It was dawn by the time we reached home. We were too exhausted and terrified to speak. As we calmed down, we began to check each other for injuries. That's when we noticed something horrifying. On my left wrist were 5 thin needle marks. Kenta had blue bruises on his neck, as if something had grabbed him, and Misaki, her hair had turned completely white overnight. From that day on, our lives began to unravel. Waking up in the middle of the night, we'd see a white-coated figure standing in the corner of our rooms. Looking in the mirror, our faces appeared distorted. And sometimes we'd hear a voice in our heads saying, "Come back." Did something from the hospital possess us, or did it take a part of us? One thing is certain, since that night, we haven't fully escaped. And the fear that someday we'll have to return grows stronger every day.